The Galactic Academy's Xenobiology lecture hall fell silent as Professor Zenth's crystalline form shimmered with barely contained anxiety. His species, the Quarians, were known for their logical minds and emotional restraint, but today's lesson had pushed him to the edge of both. Students, his voice resonated through the translation matrix. Today we study Earth's apex predators. I have requested a live specimen. A collective gasp rippled through the assembled beings. 300 students from 47 species sat in tiered rows, their various appendages fidgeting with nervousness. The Vrix delegation huddled closer together, their fur standing on end. Even the usually stoic Keltharians shifted their armored plates, uncomfortably. Earth was legendary, terrifying. Death world whose natives had clawed their way to the stars through sheer stubbornness and an incomprehensible tolerance for danger. Their planet harbored creatures that would give seasoned warriors nightmares. Massive reptilian predators with bone-crushing jaws, striped felines that could tear through steel, pack hunters with intelligence rivaling some spacefaring species. The door hissed open. A human walked in. Ilara was unremarkable by human standards. Average height, brown hair pulled into a practical ponytail, wearing the standard xenobiology department uniform. But to the assembled students, she was a representative of the species that had survived Earth's gauntlet. In her arms, she carried something small and furry. "Good morning, Professor Zenth," Ilara said cheerfully, her voice warm. "I brought Mivy as requested." Professor Zenth's form flickered confusion. "That is, the predator?" The creature in Ilara's arms was diminutive, perhaps 30 centimeters long, covered in orange and white fur with distinctive tabby markings. Large green eyes surveyed the room with interest. As the class stared, the creature opened its mouth, revealing tiny white teeth, and produced a sound that sent half the front row scrambling backward. "Murrow." "Oh, he's just saying hello," Ilara laughed, stroking the creature's head. The animal immediately began producing a rhythmic rumbling sound that seemed to emanate from its entire body. "This is Mivy. He's a domestic cat. Well, technically a hybrid, part Bengal, part regular tabby." A Vrix student raised a trembling paw. "That sound? Is it a warning? A battle cry? This?" Ilara's smile widened. "This is Purring. He's happy." "Happy," Professor Zenth repeated flatly. "You brought us a happy predator." "Well, yes. Mivy is very friendly." As if to demonstrate, she held the cat up slightly. Mivy's paws stretched out, tiny toe beans visible, claws extending and retracting in a kneading motion. Several students audibly whimpered. A Keltharian in the third row stood, armor clanking. "Human Ilara, with respect, we requested an apex predator. This creature is small. Surely you misunderstood." Ilara's expression shifted to something the translator couldn't quite capture. Amusement mixed with a hint of that legendary human stubbornness. "Oh, I understood perfectly. Mivy here is a perfect example of Earth's predatory evolution." She walked to the center of the stage, Mivy still purring contentedly. "May I demonstrate?" Professor Zenth gestured consent, though his form had taken on a distinctly purple hue of uncertainty. Ilara set Mivy down on the demonstration platform. The cat sat, wrapped his tail around his paws, and looked utterly relaxed. "Mivy's ancestors," Ilara began, her voice taking on a lecturer's tone, "were solitary hunters in Earth's deserts. They evolved to hunt prey with incredible efficiency. Watch." She produced a small toy from her pocket, a feathered object on a string, and dangled it. The change in Mivy was instantaneous and terrifying. The relaxed, purring creature became a coiled spring of lethal intent. His pupils dilated to full black saucers. His body lowered into a crouch. Every muscle tensed. The purring stopped. Then he pounced. The movement was so fast that half the class couldn't track it. One moment Mivy was sitting peacefully, the next he was airborne. All four paws extended, claws fully deployed. He twisted midair with impossible agility, caught the toy in his front paws, brought it to his mouth, and delivered a killing bite with those tiny teeth. Then, prey secured, he flopped over and began kicking it with his back legs, disemboweling motion on full display. The lecture hall was dead silent. "Felis catus," Ilara continued calmly, as Mivy murdered the toy with evident satisfaction, "has a hunting success rate of 32%, which makes them one of the most effective predators on Earth. For comparison, lions succeed about 25% of the time. Mivy's species has been clocked at 48 kilometers per hour in short bursts. They can jump 6 times their body length. Their retractable claws are made of keratin over bone cores designed for both climbing and combat. A Vrick student raised a shaking paw. But it is so small. How is this apex? Ilara's smile turned slightly predatory itself. Mivi's ancestors drove multiple species to extinction. They hunt for sport, not just sustenance. In Earth's ecosystem, they are so efficient that humans had to domesticate them 11,000 years ago. Not to eat, but to keep them from wiping out our food supplies. Domesticate, Professor Zenth said slowly. You made them pets? We tried to domesticate them, Ilara corrected, picking up Mivi, who immediately resumed purring and rubbing his face against her chin. Cats domesticated themselves because they realized humans would feed them in exchange for killing rodents. They chose us as much as we chose them. And here's the thing about cats. She scratched under Mivi's chin, eliciting louder purrs. They retain all their predatory instincts. Mivi hunts every day. Birds, insects, the occasional small mammal that wanders into my quarters. He's killed things twice his size. She walked closer to the front row and several students leaned back. But he also does this. She presented Mivi's face forward. The cat's eyes were half closed, purring so loudly it vibrated the translation matrix. Humans live with apex predators in our homes. We let them sleep on our faces. My nephew carries Mivi around like a baby, because we're humans, and we looked at efficient killing machines and said, I'm going to make friends with that. A long silence followed. Finally, a small Vrick student in the back raised her paw tentatively. May I touch the predator? Ilara's face lit up. Of course. Mivi loves attention. What followed was perhaps the strangest scene in Galactic Academy history. 300 students from 47 species formed an orderly line to pet an Earth predator. Mivi, for his part, accepted the attention like the benevolent overlord he believed himself to be, purring so loudly that several species claimed they could feel it in their bones. As the last student, a brave Keltharian who discovered Mivi enjoyed chin scratches, finished their turn, Professor Zenth approached Ilara, I believe, he said slowly. I understand now why humans are classified as terrifying. Because we have dangerous predators? Ilara asked innocently. No. Professor Zenth's form shimmered with something like awe. Because you saw dangerous predators and decided to keep them as companions. You share your homes with creatures that hunt for pleasure. You find their killing instincts adorable. Ilara grinned and kissed the top of Mivi's head. The cat chirped happily. Yep, that's humanity for you. We're the species that looked at every dangerous thing on our planet and asked, can I pet it? As she left the lecture hall, Mivi purring in her arms, 300 students sat in contemplative silence, reevaluating everything they thought they knew about humans, predators, and the fine line between the two.